Well, unfortunately, at the end of the last episode of the Leipzig Loko, we kind of stuffed things up in that first leg away at Luzern in the round of 16 of the Conference League, blowing a 2-0 lead, and we go back home locked up at 2-2. We should still be able to make our way through to the quarterfinals, but it does mean before then, we need to rotate our team for our next game in the Bundesliga away at Bayern Munich. Oh dear. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 81 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we take on Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, where a win would see us jump into a European qualifying spot, and off the back of that we look to finish the job in the second leg of the round of 16 in the Conference League, as yet again we do take on Luzern. So if you're looking forward to that coming up in today's episode, then do remember to go down below and leave a thumbs up on the video. It is greatly appreciated, but we've done very little off the back of the end of last week, that episode with those games against Luzern and also a DFB Pokal quarterfinal where we finally got the job done in that competition and bet 1860 Munich by 6 goals to 0. If you missed that episode, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. We've played no games since then, but what is of note going into today's episode, those late goals that we did concede in the last 10 minutes in that Luzern game, which did take it from 2-0 to 2. Also, it was a frustrating bit of a bold job for us there at the end of last week. It does mean because of that, we do now need to save some of our best players up who are registered for Europe for that second leg, just to make sure that we do get the job done like we should. Of course, last time we played Luzern at home, we did pick up a 2-0 win, so hopefully something like that will be coming up in the second game of today's episode. But before then, we take on Bayern Munich, not the ideal team to be taking on in a situation like this. We are going to have to rest some of our first choice players, albeit as you can see, they are missing some quite good players as well in Joshua Kimmich, Alphonso Davies, and Nicolo Rebella, albeit we've got a few out as well. Nico Benedetti is suspended. Thankfully, Sebastian Escobar is back from his injury, and also Mikel Mastis has picked up a little niggly injury as well. But of course, Albin Krasniqi is not registered for the Conference League. You'll see our team sheet shortly for this game. A lot of players not registered for European football are going to get a run out in this game, just because, as I said, want to save up those best ones who can play in Europe for that second leg. Now, there is a bit riding on it. And here are all the changes. We've got Sicker at right back coming in for Vochin. Obviously, Vochin, the only right back registered for the Conference League. Also, we've got Altay coming in for Camillo. He gets a well-earned break. Ryan gets a chance at left back. We've got Manuel and Escobar coming back from injury. In the defensive midfield, also Xerxes at the cam role, and Moose, the young left winger who we got out of Cordoba, he gets a start on the left wing, but Bushuari is on the bench. Angelo gets a rest for this game. So quite a bit of change as we do take on what looks like a fairly strong Bayern Munich lineup, albeit as you saw before, they are dealing with a couple of injuries. At the moment, they are actually in second on the Bundesliga table. They need a win here to try and keep pace with Borussia Dortmund. Now that we're getting into the business end of the season, they really need to pick up wins. As you can see, our recent form a little bit iffy, quite a few draws. So we picked up some wins off the back of the start of yesterday's episode, that 6-0 win over 1860 Munich and then over Stuttgart. In the Bundesliga, there you can see Bayern actually going with an interesting formation of 4-2-2-2. So they are quite narrow. Hopefully, we can expose them on our wings in this game, because that could be an area where they might not quite have the bodies, but obviously with the rotation and also with a bit more of an eye on the second leg of that round of 16 tie in the Conference League, this is a game that we're probably not expecting to get anything from, but we get a highlight here immediately from the kickoff. Amadori plays that one back, Hurtado out to Sicker, and Krasniqi just holds the ball up here on our right-hand side. Good switch out there, though, to Musa, but a bit of a loose touch. Thankfully, Bradley gives it straight back to him. Amadori does get in behind. It's a very good early chance, but he's offside, so that was a bit of a pointless highlight to get this one underway, but encouraging signs inside the opening minutes here away from home. Hopefully we see a bit more of that throughout this game and can actually pick up some points, which would be a massive upset for us. Not expecting to get anything from this game, as I said, with that situation where we are saving ourselves a bit for the Conference League. But at the 15-minute mark, there is a corner here in our favour. Krasniqi floats this one in towards the near post, but Nets does head that one away. Now Musa starts to cut inside, tries to get a shot. It is blocked, albeit Bayern clear that one to Ryan, retreats quite nicely, and we get a chance here to start to camp inside the Bayern half, albeit that ball from Escobar little bit too deep, but thankfully Ryan's there again to tidy things up. Tries to play a curveball through there for Musa, but unfortunately far too much on that one, and Costa can claim that in goal for Bayern Munich. Takes his time here and just evaluates his option, but picks out Simakan at centre back on the left-hand side. Now Nets makes some headway down that left-hand side. Lovely ball over the top there for Bauer. It's an interesting touch, but he sets it up to chip Ivizic in goal. And despite the fact, based on highlights, we've been on the front foot, it kind of reminds me of the first time we played these guys this season in the Bundesliga. It is 1-0 to Bayern Munich. They've done very little, but unfortunately, that long ball over the top does catch out our centre-backs, our entire defensive line, and Bauer does tuck that one away, and we go 1-0 down on the 16-minute mark. Apologies if I heard some beeping before, not actually sure where that's come from, just checking the situation around my desk, and I can't see anything that would obviously do that, albeit Sebastian Escobar has picked up an orange injury. So I think we're going to play things safe here with the Conference League in mind and the Cup competitions coming up. Racine Bullock will come on for him. Hopefully that's not too serious. Escobar has been dealing with some injury struggles for quite a while now. Free kick to Bayern about halfway through the first half. We do somewhat deal with the danger, and thankfully Sika eventually recovers it on the second time of asking, albeit then gives it back to Evan Nielsen. Now De Ligt just starts to cut inside, just keeps that ball as we try and put here. Bayern Munich under pressure, but they hold the ball here nicely on the edge of the box. Jamal Musiala tries to rocket that one top left corner, thankfully just goes over the bar, and we are still down by 1-0. And what has been actually a pretty even game so far. We've had the same amount of shots as Bayern Munich have, but unfortunately we've got none on target yet. Hopefully that can change soon. Good work there from Amadori, just holds up nicely with his strength there, and we get the ball back from that long clearance. Now Sika tries to play that one through nets. It gets blocked, but falls back to him. Krasnicki squares that one for Amadori. He'll pick up his 18th goal of the season. Good work to actually help us get that ball back from that long clearance. And that's 1-1. And honestly, that feels a bit more accurate of what we've seen so far in this game. Bit of luck there from that block pass from Sika, but it falls back to him and Krasnicki. Nice little assist there. Might have got some help from the defender. It did pop up nicely for Amadori, but thankfully he puts that one away. We're probably going to start White in the Conference League. He seems to be a bit better in that competition for some reason, but Amadori certainly a good point of difference if we need him. As you know, the big, tall Italian can be quite good in the air. Off the back of that, though, Bullock is off the field here, and Bayern are on the attacks. We are down to 10 men. Might be having some issues here with our deep-lying playmakers, and Matthias de Ligt puts that one away, and that's a bit hard to take. Bayern Munich score a goal against us while we are down temporarily to 10 men, just off the back of us getting this one back to 1-1, and it's a pretty good finish as well there by Matthias de Ligt. Xavier plays the ball through to him inside the box, and it's a really good left foot on that to just beat Ivizic in goal into that bottom right corner, and they make the most of the fact that we were down to 10 men. Off the back of that, was just thinking about making a potential substitution yet again, but Bullock is back on the field. Does mean we might roll through some substitution stoppages quite early in this game, but we are back on the ball here off the back of going 2-1 down. Hopefully can grab a pretty instant equaliser off the back of Bayern scoring against us while we were briefly down to 10 men. They do clear that one in the air though, and we did look for Amadori, but on the attack here yet again, but this time Costa, actually I thought he saved it, but Amadori has put it away. We are waiting though for a VAR check. Hopefully this one stands and we do grab an equaliser, but unfortunately that is not the case. Balls that one up because I did think there that Costa did make a save briefly. It was some good build-up play, but Amadori is just slightly offside, so we are still down by 2-1, but to be fair, are giving Bayern here quite a bit to think about. I think Bullock will leave him out there until half-time, and hopefully we can wait until then to make some substitutions. A few players here pick up yellow cards. They might also be coming off at half-time. Krasnicki, one of them, and also Value Altay, so it does mean that Comedio might get a run in the second half. Not as much of a rest as I was hoping in this game, so it does mean we're going to burn through some subs early here in this one, but unfortunately we go into the sheds 2-1 down. We've actually had the higher XG, but unfortunately Bayern with more shots on target, and they've put the ball in the back of the net through both Bauer and Matthias de Ligt. So we're going to make some substitutions here at half-time with those yellow cards, and also of course that potential injury to Racine Bullock. We're going to bring on here Billy Camillo for our take at the back. Also Caesar for Ryan, he's only on a 6.4 to be fair. Krasnicki's actually doing a pretty good job, so I think we might actually leave him out there. And in terms of someone to come on for Racine Bullock, who of course already came on for Escobar, I think it might be a better option here to bring on Justin Blomier instead of Daniel Cueto. I did think that maybe we could change the formation a little bit, but instead we'll put Blomier in that deep line playmaker role, and we'll see how he gets on out of position during the second half. So not ideal. A couple of injuries in the first half of this game. Hopefully nothing more, and those injuries aren't too serious heading in to that second game of today's episode, the second leg of that round of 16 tie in the Conference League. But as I said, actually putting up a pretty good fight here, even though we've rotated a fair bit of our team here at Bayern Munich, only down by 2-1, and we're quite close to grabbing an equaliser there just before halftime. The first highlight here is a throw-in in favour of Bayern Munich. Xavier plays that one back to Simakan. Now Delit, one of the goal scorers, plays that one back to Upamecano. Musiala, we put them under good pressure, but unfortunately can't quite get the ball off them. They play one forward. We head it away, but Nets on the edge of the box, and therefore Evan Nielsen gets headed off, but thankfully that one comes off the post, and we somewhat deal with the danger. This time Camillo heads that one out to Delit. Hopefully this highlight will end soon. It does, and we cling on to a 2-1 deficit with a half hour left. As another highlight starts, I was just thinking about maybe they're taking off Jordan Xerxes on a 6.3. Daniel Cueto might be coming on soon in this game, especially if we go down by 3-1. That's a really poor pass that time from Manuel inside our own half. Now Diop from outside the box. Sofiane Diop rockets that one top right corner. To be fair, I don't think we can blame Xerxes for that. That's entirely on Manuel as the balling midfielder, but now we don't really have many more midfield substitutions to make. That's a terrible ball out there, looking for Cesar, picks out Delit instead, and from there Bayern. To be fair, it's still a very good hit that from Diop, but I think now we are going to be resigned to defeat here in front of the Bayern Munich fans. Off the back of that, as I said, we're going to take off Xerxes, not playing too well on a 6.3. Daniel Cueto can come on for him. Maybe we can grab a goal back in this one, because it's certainly shown that we can threaten Bayern Munich when we are at our best in this game. But unfortunately, yet again, they have been very efficient with their shots in front of goal, and we haven't quite been. Had that one ruled out too just before halftime. Amadori looking quite threatening, but unfortunately, does feel like here we might be on track for a defeat in the Bundesliga. So unfortunately, won't be able to make that gap back up on the likes of Eintracht Frankfurt in 7th. On the Bundesliga table, we're just going to go in here and try and put some more players on attack, and also just put some more positive roles, I should say. We are going to go to on an attacking mentality, and hopefully that might help us grab a goal back in this game. We'll also go a bit wider, tell our guys to potentially be a bit more expressive and see if that does help out in the last couple of minutes of this game. But as I said, unfortunately, Bayern Munich again have been very efficient. It's been a pretty similar situation to that game we played against them at home in the first half of the season, albeit with a few minutes left. Maybe we'll create one more chance to get this one close inside the last couple of minutes. A throw in here in our favour. Hurtado plays that one over the top, but unfortunately, no one anywhere near it. Krasnicki playing quite well, has lasted well out there despite playing on a yellow card, but Bayern are still in possession. Hopefully this doesn't get to 4-1. That would feel extremely harsh. I believe that might have been the scoreline from our first clash this season, so I suppose it's progress, but still Bayern have been beating us here fairly comfortably since the early stages of the second half. Good work there though on our left hand side. We win the ball back, but then poor pass from Musa, and they are now on the attack, albeit that's good work that time from Manuel. Plays that one for does Krasnicki for Amadori, gets a shot off at Costa, makes a save. He was offside anyway, so that was a bit of a waste of a highlight. And now we are down the other end for a Bayern Munich free kick. They get ahead on the end of that one. I'm not too sure who it was. Might have been Sedilia maybe. It comes off the post, so thankfully won't finish 4-1 again. We'll go very attacking late, but unfortunately not going to make too much difference, and we suffer a 3-1 defeat. Unfortunately, as I said a few times there, actually matched it pretty well in terms of creating chances with them until the later stages of that game, where they did get on the front foot a bit more. But certainly in the opening part of that game, we were matching it with them quite nicely, but unfortunately they got a goal on the counter-attack, and from there they did start to assert their dominance in the second half. A few chances, but unfortunately Amadori did get himself offside off the back of that opening goal, and we do suffer a 3-1 defeat. We did leave Vochin on the bench. That's because some other players were struggling. We did have injuries and also trying to save him up for that second leg in the Conference League round of 16. But unfortunately, we do suffer a defeat in that first game of today's episode. Don't get ourselves back inside that top 7 but hopefully we'll get rewarded for resting some players when we take on Luzern in the second leg of our Conference League Round of 16 tie. So unfortunately I lost in that first game of today's episode, albeit as I said it was kind of expected with the rotation that we did make looking forward to that Conference League Round of 16 tie, but a bit earlier than I was expecting this season. We have got our youth intake here at Lokomotive Leipzig, and one player in particular with some really good potential, Nikolai Rosler, a defensive midfielder. To be fair, we might need one with some of the injuries we have been picking up in that area of late, but he certainly looks quite promising. 1.5 stars current ability, 4.5 stars potential, definitely someone we will offer a contract to. Also, 4 players as well who are top talents. Nino Leda is a centre back, 1 star current ability, 3.5 stars potential, albeit 1.72 metres tall. Hopefully he can grow a little bit in the upcoming years. As well as that, we've got Falco Gray. He is a centre back who can also play defensive midfield and central midfield, 1 star current ability, 4 star potential. Actually looks like he might be more of a centre back with a bit of extra height. The other player in our youth intake with 1 star current ability is Mikhail Dalka. He is a left winger and he has 3.5 stars potential. Could be of use to us in the future, especially if we do continue to make European competitions. And the last player that we're probably going to definitely sign from this year's youth intake is Thomas Wagner, also 1 star current ability, 3.5 star potential. He is a left winger, comes central attacking midfielder. So some useful players there in this season's youth intake, but definitely the pick of them could be Nikolai Rosler. Could be quite good, seeing as already does look like his best position might be as a deep line playmaker. And as well as that, we've finally got the draw for the semi-finals of the DFB Pokal, and we've got quite a kind draw in this competition. We could have got Bayern or Wolfsburg. We got FC Cologne, who are below us on the Bundesliga table, so hopefully a chance for us there to make a DFB Pokal final, especially if Wolfsburg can get the job done over Bayern, because we've actually got a decent record against Wolfsburg so far this season, but hopefully that is a semi-final which is winnable, so maybe we can go the distance in both of the cup competitions for us this season, both the DFB Pokal as well as the Conference League, which we do now turn our attention to. Obviously, you guys know a lot about Luzern now. We've already played them twice this season on the channel, including yesterday when we conceded those 2 late goals, which did let them back into this tie. So we get the second leg underway, locked up at 2-2. In terms of us, thankfully, no injury concerns that were major from that previous game against Bayern Munich. So both Escobar and Bullock were not seriously injured in that game. They are both back and fit for this one. In fact, no injury concerns going into this game at all, just some unregistered players. So we do have everyone available for selection in this game, albeit still going to rotate just a tiny bit because some players are on heavy workloads. There you can see Athletic Bilbao, Lille, Roma and Helm being already through to the quarterfinal draw, and we are about to take on Luzern. Also, better say that we are probably the biggest name left from these teams who are playing in the bottom half of the draw at the moment. Hopefully, if we make our way through to the final 8, we can avoid one of those top 3 teams. They do look like our biggest threats in this competition, and to be fair, we did beat, of course, Athletic Bilbao in our final game of the league phase, so it does give us some belief that we can go on and potentially pick up the Conference League this season. We've changed our wingbacks for this game. Vochin starts as per usual, also Paulo Cesar. Alte stays in there. Comidio going to try and give him a rest in this game as well. As that, both defensive midfielders we have rotated for this one. Bullock and Benedetti will get James Escobar on a heavy workload, and also Blomé on a yellow card. And as well as that, we have got Matty White up front instead of Nicolo Amadori. As I said, Matty White does seem to be just a little bit more lethal in the Conference League than Amadori for some reason. So hopefully staying with him in today's game does work out. Of course, he came off the bench yesterday and did pick up a goal, I believe. I say yesterday, at the end of last week. Hopefully, starting this one, he can get us on the front foot early, and we can hopefully put a dent in Luzern's resurgence from the last 10 minutes of that first leg, which was away from home. There they are. We know all about these guys. As I said, we've played them plenty now on the channel. Let's get through these team sheets and get stuck in to the second leg of this tie, and hopefully can make our way through to the quarterfinals. We'll just get to the right screen here. I've just changed it up, having just watched the youth intake players play against our under-19s. They actually picked up a pretty good win in that game too, even though we did have some first-team players in that one. So that was a little bit concerning, albeit it is quite useful when the youth players do a decent job. First highlight here is a free kick in favour of Luzern. I think they have the ball still, but the ball colour for this game is actually really difficult to pick up. but we are on the attack now, having got an interception, and Matty White is slotted through nicely from Daniel Cueto. He puts it in the back of the net, and thankfully, putting him up front to start off has paid off. We go 1-0 up right on the 10-minute mark and 3-2 overall. That's exactly what we want. Paulo Cesar there does get the ball back for us. Cueto, good ball through to White, who's just got the momentum there to get in behind of the Luzern defence and rockets that one into the roof of the net, and we go 1-0 up nice and early, and hopefully can kick on and get a nice 2-goal buffer nice and early, and this time not blow it inside the last 10 minutes. Unfortunately, early yellow cards to Altay and Bullock, so maybe going to have to make some subs here at half-time. We might be going into the next round with a couple of suspensions, but still need to try and see this one out, unlike what we did in yesterday's episode, but hopefully at home that won't be as much of an issue. They put a ball there into the mixer. I think they do anyway. That ball colour is really difficult to pick up, but thankfully Ivizic does look like he has got hold of it. Rolls that one out to Altay on the left-hand side of our defence. Just steely makes his way up the field, goes on a brief adventure, tries to play a long ball forward there to Matty White, but unfortunately Luzern can control it. Now they get something going themselves down their left-hand side. Mastis tries to put some pressure on them on that side, but in the end we do actually get that ball back. Now Cueto back to Benedetti, plays one over the top there for Angelo just inside the box, squares it for Matty White. He's onside, he puts that one away in the top left corner, and already we are 2-0 up after 22 minutes, and hopefully this time we can be solid defensively and hang on and go through to the quarterfinals of the Conference League. We get the ball back there down that far side. Good switch there from Benedetti to Angelo, and a good ball through the defence there, and Matty White picks up a very early double to give us a 4-2 lead on aggregate, only halfway through the first half. Just checking here this offside, but I'm pretty sure that defender who was marking Angelo was keeping him onside, and indeed that was the case. So thankfully it's been a very good start in this game so far. Luzern have done absolutely nothing, actually quite similar to the first time we played these guys in the league phase this season. We must score both goals this time. It has been Matty White. Hopefully we can put pay to them one more time in this first half and grab a 3-goal lead. That should be enough for us to make sure we're going through to the quarterfinals. Good chance there, not exactly sure who got on the end of that ball for us, but Luzern do quite well to clear that one off their line. We put good pressure on them there inside of our final third, but unfortunately they do keep the ball, so we are still up by 2-0, but so far looking very dominant. But unfortunately, picking up a couple of yellow cards in this game. Altay Cesar and Racine Bullock now all on yellows. They have a corner here, and a good chance there, I think it was, to one of the attackers of the Luzern, just puts that one over the post, and thankfully we're going into the sheds with a 2-0 lead. 4-2 on aggregate. That was the only chance they had in that first half, and thankfully Matty White, as we were hoping, has been quite effective for us in front of goal in that first half. We're going to take off these players on yellow cards, so Tom Gale will bring on in place of Altay. It does mean we can give Community a rest in the second half of this game. Also, Campanelli at left back will try in place of a yellow carded Caesar, because Ryan is quite injury prone at the moment, and also we'll bring on Escobar in place of Racine Bullock, and we'll switch Benedetti to that ball-wing midfield role, just because of course Blomaye is sitting on a yellow card. We don't want him suspended for the next round of this competition. Also, before we get play back underway, we'll make sure that Campanelli is not easing off tackles, and hopefully we don't concede any late goals this time and can make our way through to the quarterfinals. And so far it's been a little bit of a quiet second half as we do get things underway coming up to the hour mark, but we don't mind that off the back of the first half where we did grab that 2-goal lead, albeit just as I say that there is a highlight here. We have the ball down our left-hand side, Angelo back there to Campanelli, and now it was Escobar, plays that one out to Vochin. He makes his way inside the box. He actually takes a shot there. Not a bad effort, I think. It just goes wide though, so we are still up by 2-0. Hopefully we can grab a third just to put this one to bed. Just checking here on some player fitness with a half hour left, and everyone is in decent condition, so we're not going to make any subs just yet as we get into the latter stages of this game. Still with that 2-0 lead, it is now thrown though to Luzern, who will be hoping to pull off something similar to what they did in yesterday's episode. Somehow Hayne there does get in behind our defence from a deep ball over the top there from Balde, and they've grabbed the goal back again, and now that makes things a little bit nervy for these last 25 minutes. It does bring back a bit of memories from the end of last week. Campanelli just doesn't really keep pace there with Haim, which is disappointing with him having come off the bench, and unfortunately he's far too quick as well for our centre-backs. Beats the Ivizic from a tight angle, and the deficit is reduced to 1 goal. Hopefully we can hold on here in the last 20 minutes of this game and make sure this one does not have to go to extra time or penalties. Might be time for us here to make our last sub. I think we'll take off Vochin. He's only going okay today. On a 6.4, Ryan can come on for him and we'll move Campanelli to his more natural right back spot. So that will be our sub that we're going to use with 20 minutes left. Also might not be far away from time wasting just a little bit. But as I say that there is a highlight and it is Luzern who are on the ball yet again. So it is getting quite similar to how the game played out at the end of last week. But hopefully they don't put the ball in the back of net again, albeit Sanchez here. Lovely ball for Hayne to try and pick up a double, but thankfully he blasts that one wide. That might have been the chance there for Luzern to equalise this. With 10 minutes left, we've got one more sub left and Unhalo is down to a red heart. Bushuari is on the bench. He can come on and hopefully help us finish off this game and hold on to that 1-goal lead. Also, we'll tell our guys to be more disciplined, so hopefully they don't concede late in this game. That actually sometimes helps us actually score a goal down the other end as well. So we'll see if that is the case as we start to make our way inside the last 5 minutes. We now will start to time waste a bit more and hopefully that will help us see out this game. Not as convincing as I would hope, considering we beat these guys 2-0 back during the league phase, but thankfully it does look like at the moment we might make our way through to the quarterfinals of the Conference League like we were expecting. There was a highlight here with Luzern in possession. Thankfully we won that ball back a few times, and then Loko absolutely destroys Maddie White, thankfully not injured, but that should be all she wrote. A red card there for Luzern late. That should kill their fight back in this game. Thankfully it does. It is full time. Thankfully White not injured either, because that was a pretty bad challenge, but thankfully we've just done enough there to hold on and pick up a 2-1 win in the home league, 4-3 on aggregate. As I said, that would have been a lot nicer if we did not concede those late goals at the end of last week, but thankfully we've come back from that, picked up 2 goals early in this one through Maddie White. They did have some very good chances in that game, but thankfully only 1 shot on target, which did beat our goalkeeper, which was a little bit frustrating. But in the end, we make our way through to the quarterfinals of the Conference League. I think the draw's not going to take place for a little while. We'll check on that shortly, but thankfully was a bit closer than I would have liked, as I said. But we are through to the quarterfinals off the back of a 2-1 win in the second leg over Luzern. And back in the inbox off the back of that second game of today's episode, as I said, just did enough there to get past Luzern in the round of 16. Certainly made that a bit tighter than I was expecting off the back of our game back in the league phase of this competition. As you can see, we get just over £500,000 today. I think we're actually getting more at the moment from progressing in the DFB Pokal. Maddie White, a very good job up front. He's proving quite important for us in European football, and we do make our way through to the quarterfinals. Apparently no shocks. Hopefully we can avoid someone like Roma, Athletic Bilbao and Lille when we do get the draw for that next round. But as you can see, all the teams who finished in the top 8 in the league phase did eventually make their way through to the quarterfinals, but we're not going to know who we're going to be playing in that round until we come back in tomorrow's episode, because I do have to play one more game before we do get to that draw, albeit it should be a game that we can win quite comfortably, as it is against bottom of the table Sandhausen in the Bundesliga. But that will do it for today's episode. Unfortunately lost to Bayern Munich in the first game of today's episode, but it was kind of with a rotated team with an eye in mind to that Luzern game, which thankfully we picked up a 2-1 win in and make our way through to the quarterfinals. If you enjoyed today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. We'll come back for tomorrow's episode. Just a quick look at the schedule. It didn't show before in the top right corner on the home page, but I think we're going to come back and play the quarterfinals of the Conference League in tomorrow's episode. Still not sure who we are playing in that competition. Could be any one of those teams on that right hand side. Hopefully, as I said, we avoid Roma, Lille and Athletic Bilbao, and that should be a tie that we can win and make our way through to the final 4. But we'll come back for that in tomorrow's episode and also update you guys on what's happened in the Bundesliga. One very winnable game, as I said, against Sandhausen. But off the back of that, we take on Hoffenheim and even bigger Eintracht Frankfurt away from home. Those could be very tricky matches, and that Eintracht Frankfurt one in particular could be a bit of a game changer in terms of which team might have the ascendancy to finish in a European qualifying spot in the league come the end of this season. But I think for tomorrow's episode, the focus will be on the Conference League quarterfinals. Hopefully we can make our way through to the final four of that competition alongside the DFB Pokal. But until tomorrow for a Conference League quarterfinal, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Thought I could do this, laugh through the sadness. Don't know how I ended up so low.